This is Idle Thumbs 762. It's April 44th, and the dateline's in an alternate dimension. Anyway, what did you guys play this week?
This is Idle Thumbs 26.
For Idle Thumbs 57, go to
podcast.idlethumbs.net/.cx.
Museum.
And I'm Jake Rodkin.
And I'm Chris Remo.
I'm Nick Brecken.
Idle Thumbs. Games, video 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 games.
It's April 118th, 2009, and this is the final Dateline.
This is Idle Thumbs 20-something, and I'm Chris Remo.
26.
I forgot for a second.
I'm Jake Rodkin.
Who are
I'm Nick
you?
Brecken.
Oh, and someone wrote in and asked we should reintroduce ourselves because some people don't know who we are.
All right, so
Well,
you're
most
Chris
people don't know
Remo.
who we are. I'm Chris Remo. I write for Gama Sutra.
I'm Nick Brecken. I write for Shack News.
I'm Jake Rodkin, and I work at Telltale Games, video games.
Sweet. Telltale Games, video games.
That's pretty much what we are.
Cool.
I mean, all of us collectively.
All right. So that's what we do and who we are. And we're back after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
I was in London. Nick was in Bangladesh. And
I was sleeping.
Jake was sleeping. Good times.
Yeah, it was great.
Got to take naps at Telltale
went
Games,
places.
video games.
No, I just mean, like, instead of working on this podcast, I got a good night's sleep a couple nights in a row.
Yeah,
It was
that sounds
awesome.
pretty awesome. Yeah, I did that too, actually. It was pretty great.
Yeah.
Anyway, whole bunch of video games for some reason that Nick and I saw recently.
Yeah.
Some Bargos going up
Yeah.
and stuff.
Good old
Was that
Bargos.
apostrophe Bargo?
Yeah, that's
Some Bargos going up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lifted a Bargo today.
Pretty sure that Bargo's going up left and right.
Yep. Wrote up
A Bargo goes, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let me think. What?
God, there were some
Well,
fantastic
I mean, I guess-
days we saw. This is a
Yeah.
whole bunch of. Where do you start, really?
I guess we can start with other before we even get to the Bargos. We can talk about 6 Days in Fallujah, which was dropped by Konami,
Yeah.
and it looks like Atomic still owns the rights to it and everything, so
Right.
they can just shop around, I guess.
Yeah. We don't know what they're doing yet.
Kind of ridiculous for a publisher to not think about this
Yeah,
enough
that is-
to the point that they couldn't even project like 2 weeks out.
I know, right? Like,
Like, I
Yeah,
don't.
That was a very
crazy
short
that
amount of time.
It seems very much like it was, we showed this game to press and ourselves.
Right? And then we
Whoa,
decided we
whoa.
shouldn't actually be publishing
Yeah,
it.
this-
Weird.
Yeah,
I wonder if we should have done that before.
it was surprising that happened.
They could have. I mean, that game
Not since Full Throttle 2.
was the initial showing of that game bargoed.
yes, it was.
Keep doing this.
It was.
Yeah. How long was that? Do you remember?
I think it was like a week.
I wonder, you know, if it wasn't until the actual public, like, I wonder if game journalists just generally, well, except for you, because you wrote an article about it, but I mean, I wonder if most game journalists are so accustomed to writing just or like responding to things in a very sort of straightforward, this is what happens, like, these are what the controls are, this is what you do, and the graphics are pretty cool. Like, I wonder how much feedback, like real useful feedback they actually got until the embargo went up.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there were certainly stories, even in just enthusiast press before that before that embargo. There were a couple stories. God, I'm trying to think. I think G4 did a story interviewing soldiers and seeing what they thought of it.
What was the tone of that? I didn't see that.
It was
piece.
generally negative. I believe.
Oh, okay.
Or actually, no. Was it negative? I can't even remember. I didn't read it.
you
I just
read
know that it existed.
G4, wouldn't it be something you watch?
No, it was their website.
Oh,
It
the
was
blog.
Their blog.
Don't you watch videos on their website?
Not if I don't have to.
Anyway, this is our asshole day.
Yeah, really. No, God, there were a couple negative stories, even before the game was shown. I think people just questioning whether it was a good idea. Just get in on that controversy early, But
yeah, it seems weird. I mean, I think we pointed this out on a previous podcast, but it was pretty striking to me the day it was announced, and you had in the same news story, you'd have Peter Tanti of Atomic being like, "Yeah, we're really trying to create a really piercing depiction of this battle, really realistic chronicle of what went on, and then 2 paragraphs later, you've got the Konami guy just being like, yeah, we're just trying to make a fun video game, fun times in a video game.
Yeah, it's
Games
just a game.
are fun.
Was the quote? Yeah.
Right, exactly.
I'm pretty sure he said fun times in a video game.
I'm probably. But it's like, regardless of which of those two things the game actually is, if the people making it and the people paying for it and selling
there was a disconnect from the beginning.
If they, regardless of which is the true thing or if it's in the middle, like, you want them probably to both be on the same page there with what they're actually trying to do, because that really is going to affect how you actually try to sell the game and how you market it.
Well, they're not on the same page at this point.
I guess they're not even in the same book anymore.
Yeah. Oh, not even the same book.
Thanks, Jake.
It's true, though. Your analogy holds.
Anyway, yeah, weird story. I don't think I've ever seen this happen before.
It's pretty rapid.
Yeah,
yeah. It was weird to see the content of a game, not because it's like BMX XXX. Didn't that get? Oh no, that was at the spot. What's his name?
That was like Dave Mirra was.
Yeah, it was like, why is this a horrible porn game?
They kept using his name, and he's like, "What the fuck is this shit?"
Yeah, that was a
really
different
funny.
thing.
He had to like threaten them with legal action to get his name taken off the box. That was a claim, right? A classic company.
Yeah.
Yep.
Jesus. What a weird game.
Yeah.
BMX XXX? Like, is this because of an X in it? Why would you? I mean, probably some people remember that better than I, but I don't.
Yeah, it was a BMX game that just.
No, I mean, I remember what it was.
It had a boob.
Yeah, that was like, what a strange concept. Who pitched that? Who had like, oh my god, I've got a great idea, guys. There was like mountain bikes.
There was that brief period where it was cool to just have FMV boobs in your game, even like years after, because there was BMX XXX and the guy game.
That wasn't even FMV though, right?
I thought that BMX XXX had like the unlockable videos instead of it being like a skate video or whatever. You would just get Spring Break camcorder shit.
Maybe. Right, yeah.
But I remember that was also the case with the guy game, wasn't it? That there was that trivia game called the Guy Game that also had just girls taking their shirts off in FMV, and they got sued by a girl.
That is a classic tradition.
A classic tradition of like 2005 only.
Well, even before that, no. Like I remember PlayStation games, like
what? Yeah, ESRB presents.
None of them had nudity, but it was like, oh god, Road Rash didn't that?
I love the ESRB presents a boob. Wait, what?
Yeah, I can remember games like didn't Road Rash have shit like that? It wasn't like straight out nudity, but it was just like, you wanted level. Now here's a girl dancing around.
Oh well, that's like FMV. Old racing games. Always like the Cruising USA games always have like bikini girl wave the flag or whatever. Right, yeah. Or like
but this was the next level.
The off-road game with the really really like janky 80s pixel art bikini ladies.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. I for some reason remember when there are janky bikini ladies in video games.
Didn't Phantasmagoria have some kind of?
I'm sure that had adult content.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a list on the internet that just contains all boobs in a game.
You know what? There probably is.
A boob list.
I think it's called ESRB Presents a Boob.
It's mobygames.cx. Get it? Go see joke? 1999, huh?
.museum?
Oh, man, that's way more current.
I know. I think it's like 2 years ago.
Yeah, man. I think, yeah.
So that's what we think about 6 Days in Fallujah. Our classic end cap to our conversation.
We'll talk about it more.
Yeah, you can read about it on our GeoCities site.
Oh yeah, they're totally shutting that down. It's kind of weird. Yeah.
So current GeoCities is current again. Classic reference.
Yeah, right.
You thought you were making a joke about 1997, but you're making a joke about today.
The world in which we live.
Apparently, people have already voluntarily archived hundreds of thousands of pages. Those
are all worth saving.
I think it is.
I think it is too.
I think it's totally worth saving. It's like the dawn of the internet, and it's a ton of content, and it's all also
you could save like 10. I'd be okay with that.
No, what?
How would you choose those 10, Nick?
I don't know.
Best GIFs.
Sort of randomly.
Which block of Sunset Boulevard would you preserve? The 3687 block?
I don't know.
Remember how they had that weird street name convention?
So I didn't realize you were talking about GeoCities locations.
Oh, you thought I was
yeah, that's a weird reference. Yeah. Which block of of Mars or Earth 2012 would you save? Of Venice.
Yeah. Mars?
Yeah, GeoCities also went off into space at some point, I think. And into fantastical realms.
Right, but you didn't realize that's what I was talking about. So what were you referring to?
The same thing. I just never think of Sunset Boulevard as a GeoCities conversation.
I'm pretty sure they had that. It was
okay, you're right. They did. I just
I'm just curious what you thought I meant before you realized.
I don't know. I thought you were referring to some weird preserving a chunk of old Hollywood or something.
Oh, weird.
But you were talking not about the city, but the GeoCity.
Right.
You were talking about all of those Sunset Boulevard residents, like citizens who had set up homepages on GeoCities.
Right.
Because I think that's how it works.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think I had a GeoCity for like my first website.
I think I did, and I just tried to put an MP3 there and then forgot about it.
Right, yeah.
Why are we talking about GeoCities?
I don't know, because it's a video game. I guess. Anyway. I guess that's going away.
I guess that was horrible. Nick actually slapped his forehead.
That doesn't happen very often. I'm glad to have assisted in that classic stunt. All right. Anyway, so we saw some video games also that were real.
They were real. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, people love when we laugh at ourselves. That's
I know. This is
everyone's favorite thing. They always
segment.
write in and say how much they love it when we do that. Anyway, sorry guys.
We're keeping it real.
Yeah, it's true. BioShock 2, Nick and I both saw that. I forget if we've talked about it on this podcast before. No,
we haven't. The
I mean, we
Bargo.
have, but not since we actually saw the game.
There wasn't a lifted Bargo yet.
Right, yeah.
Right.
The Bargo.
Raise your Bargo.
Let's say that word without laughing. All right.
You can't even say Bargo without laughing.
Bargo.
Yeah, I find yourself having to say that so frequently. Yeah, BioShock 2.
Yeah.
It seems cool. I mean, it's kind of one of those games where I think probably a lot of people are in this boat where I don't entirely feel like it needs to be made, but since it is going to be made, I'm glad that it seems to be like a real game.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like it seems like it seems like they're doing more within the constraints of obviously making a direct sequel to a big video game. Like you're not going to reinvent the whole thing, but I mean within those constraints, it seems like they're genuinely trying to add stuff to it and change it in meaningful ways. I mean, they've talked a lot about trying to, from like a systems point of view, they've talked a lot about trying to correct a lot of the pretty major things most people seem to have had issues with in the first game in terms of the dynamic.
Like respawning enemies and too many checkpoints.
I don't know about that stuff specifically.
I was talking about Fallout or Far Cry.
Oh, because I mean, some people did think there were too many checkpoints.
Oh, really?
And a lot of people didn't like the respawning enemies.
Yeah.
Because when you went back
that
to
was
like,
a valid BioShock complaint. I mean,
okay,
those
well, fair enough.
Yeah, but
those. Then that's just it's a universal complaint.
Yeah. But in particular with this game, I think a lot of people, myself included, found the splicer combat to be very tedious and not particularly interesting. And I also like the idea of making some of the like kind of periodic boss battles a little more optional. Like it would seem like the actual I don't really expect the actual moral distinction of the choice you make with the sisters, which is in this case harvest or adopt as opposed to harvest or save. But that actually adopting in this case adds an actual gameplay element that's different than just you get a reward now or you get a reward later. I mean, you actually have to, you carry them around, you have them harvest at them themselves, you protect them while they do that, or you can just not do that and it seems like you just have, you don't have to have those battles as often, which seems actually like kind of a nice choice to be able to make. I mean, it means you're actually deciding something that impacts what you're doing in the game.
Yeah.
It seems, I mean, it's sort of arbitrary in that they're just deciding that that's because, you know, you just do it because you do, but I mean, whatever, it's better than I think in BioShock 1 probably since the moral option is so muted to begin with and the gameplay option is, you know, is pretty much non-existent.
Right.
I don't know. It seems like they tried to put more thought into actually having that be an impactful decision.
Yeah, that's cool.
Which is nice to see.
Yeah.
Also, you can dual wield.
Yeah.
You can?
Well, you can have a drill or a gun hand and a plasmid.
Could you not do that in the first game? I don't even remember.
No, it's just your same old
hand.
hand.
Oh, right.
You don't have one hand or the other.
Back and forth. Right. Yeah, of course.
Come on.
No, you're right. You're totally right. I'm wrong.
I like the...
over one playable hand now.
What do you like, Nick? Nick likes something.
I like a big sister. What?
Wow. Yeah. Nick likes a big sister. What?
Kid sister. No? My buddy?
What?
Never mind. Anyway, look it up.
All right.
Yeah. No, okay. Shit.
This is terrible.
All right, Nick likes something.
You like the big sister.
Yeah, I do. I wasn't sure I was going to So like, the more they explain it, though, I do like it. It's kind of funny. It's what we were talking about a couple of podcasts ago, I think, when we were.
Oh yeah,
was
you're
this
right.
even on the podcast?
No, I think it was actually before the pod. I don't think
it was after. I think actually.
Yeah, right.
Was it when JP was here? It may have been.
It was weird. How coincidental.
How
and strange.
I was thinking about that actually. I couldn't.
We should describe what we're talking about.
We should
Do it.
No, you do it.
All right. Well, we were basically
No, I'm
talking
kidding.
about
I'll do it.
Okay.
Fuck me.
Do it now.
No. Okay. After one of the podcasts, it was when JP the Breton was here, who is a designer on BioShock 2, and we were like throwing out like just weird. I guess we were talking about Far Cry 2, I suppose, which is not all that surprising.
Weird.
Yeah. How bizarre. But one of the things we talked about was how cool it is, when there's a game that sort of throws you in an open world. Did we even have examples of this?
Oh, we were talking about Metroid as well.
Metroid, right? Yeah. Well, we were just talking about the concept of basically having a boss that sort of was out there and sort of like a villain type boss that was out there and sort of hunting you, but you didn't know that when they were going to attack, and they were sort of like an intelligent, AI driven thing that was just sort of kind of.
It was kind of the boss equivalent of what we've also talked about when you're playing against someone else in a real-time strategy game.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Just
yeah,
knowing
exactly.
that out there is
how,
a character who is actually persistent
waiting to destroy
and
you,
making plans to just fuck you over.
Yeah.
And then when you see this person, you're like, oh, fuck, it's you. And it's, where you come around a corner and run into this character who's actually a formidable recurring force.
Yeah, so we were talking about that, and then and JP was there, and I guess he knew the whole time that that's
his
kind
game
of what
was
they
sort
were
of doing that.
Yeah.
I don't think there's necessarily a dynamic aspect of the Big Sister, but
well, there is though. I mean,
what?
Well, I mean, it's going to be scripted, but also I did specifically ask them about whether there was a dynamic system in place, and there is. I'm not sure
in what way.
Well, it's related to when you harvest.
Well,
but I'm not. But it sounded.
But those are at specific places, though, right?
Right, I mean, but it sounded like it was going to be beyond that as well. That she would just show up occasionally.
Oh wow. Oh yeah, I think you're right actually, because I think I asked about this too because I was curious what would happen if you never saved a single little sister. Would you just not
ever?
Would you just not have to fight the Big Sister?
I
mean, they could still do that in a scripted way, though.
Well, I mean, it could just go and harvest, they could just roll whether or not the Big Sister shows up at that junction anyway.
Or they could just show up no matter what.
Right, there are like 4 or 5 places in the game.
Yeah.
It did sound though
15
like
places
from the answer that they gave me that it was I mean I specifically asked, is it going to be a scripted entirely or
that's tough from a level design standpoint.
Yeah,
having to allow.
So I mean, we'll see. I
maybe they're not.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, we'll see. But either way, I mean, they're trying to do that
as a concept.
The thematic
though,
part of it, is probably the more important part. As long as it feels like they're after you, it doesn't so much matter how they're getting there.
Yeah,
which is what I mean with a lot of game design in general. But
and then at the end, it'll turn out that the Big Sister was actually just not your enemy, but was training you. And was on your side the whole time as a test.
It does the opposite thing of most video games where your friend all along is your enemy. Now it's
There's a couple games that have that though, that have the mini boss that you fight like 6 times.
Somebody asked that question in my roundtable session. They were like, "So how do I know that Tannenbaum isn't really my enemy in this one because you tricked me in the first game?" And
oh man,
yeah. They were like, well, I don't know. I mean, you can't.
There might be a plot twist.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, someone asked a question about that in my demo too. They were like, so how is there going to be a twist? Like, what are you going to do to not make
why would they tell you that? But
expect a twist. And it's like, well, I mean, I don't know.
The twist is all you got out of BioShock. I don't know.
Yeah, well, that's what they tried to answer. But
it was a good twist.
In not so many words, but yeah. Anyway. So anyway, hopefully there's a totally sweet twist. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm optimistic about the game, but
I am too.
There are a lot of things that we won't. I don't think we're gonna know if that's a good game until there are like review copies floating around.
That's fine.
You know what I mean,
I will just call
which is fine.
The one. This is the most goofily superficial thing, but the moment I've only seen the gameplay video that was out on Game Trailers, which I'm sure almost everyone in the world has seen, obviously. But and it's
obviously
it's also obviously the moment that you're supposed to notice, but the thing when the Big Sister goes and slices all the pipes and glass and the room just explodes into being underwater. That was like my favorite thing that I've seen in a piece of gameplay footage in so long.
Yeah, it was really nice.
It was so awesomely bold to change like a contained like weird little atrium style or just single room into being part of a big open ocean environment without leaving first person perspective, like all in camera.
It reminded me of the beginning of episode 1 with the car when you jump in the car and then all that shit's happening.
Yeah, but that's
it's not the same. I know
that's
it's not
like
the
a
same.
car going down a bunch of corridors. This was like you're watching
what
is usually a really hard effect to pull off of like
changes.
water comes pouring in and it like doesn't cut to a Bink video, which is what most games do during that, is where it cuts to the guy going, what? And like looks up and then a beautifully rendered thing by Blur Studios comes in.
Right. Yeah,
but this is just like, whoa, I guess in engine you're filling a room with water and making you walk around in it, which is...
And all the underwater shaders and stuff are...
It looks really nice. So also just the notion that you can go out underwater as a Big Daddy to sort of, as a point to take a break is what it sounds like they're kind of talking about it.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like
that's hardcore to me.
It's really
like,
cool,
That's so exciting just because I am a wimp, apparently. But just the creating a point of contrast like that is really cool. And also in BioShock 1, I always would paw at the windows basically and be like, I want to go, I want to.
Exactly.
And now it's like, all right, fine. You can go outside and walk around for a second and then super sweet. I'm happy about that.
And I think that it works as sort of almost a metaphor in a way. It's like, I mean, it's sort of obvious, but I mean, the first game was so much. I mean, one of the reasons when I initially talked, in this conversation, when I originally said it's like this game doesn't really need to be made, and I still think that's true, because part of the whole point of the first game was that story is so intrinsically tied to the idea of this city it's straining under its own weight and sort of just being inevitably doomed. All right, fair enough. So in the second game, they're basically saying, well, in the first game it was straining and cracking. In this game, it's just fucked. I mean, it's like it's to the point where it's not so much the water seeping in and sort of slowly collapsing this dream. It's like this dream is dead.
Whole like chunks of buildings are falling apart and it's getting taken over by the sea.
I mean, I don't know what you do after that, but
BioShock 5 is actually just going to be in the one last room. It's a weird sort of experimental adventure game.
Yeah, they mentioned BioShock 5. They said it's going to be on a moon base.
Sweet.
They said that?
Yeah, specifically BioShock 5. They're like, maybe BioShock 5 we go to the moon base.
That would be awesome. That would be fucking rad, honestly.
Yeah, like, by the fifth BioShock, you're on the moon.
Yeah. I mean, I just want a game that's on the moon. I want
that actually would be awesome.
Yeah.
The more I think about it.
I mean, seriously. Okay.
Right, you have
full disclosure, I fucking love the moon. I think it's really awesome, and like I feel like it's
true.
Really,
he does love the moon.
It's really underused. I think.
I've heard him talk about the moon.
I think.
Are you looking
really
forward
cool.
to the movie Moon?
I fucking am, and I haven't seen any trailers or anything, and I'm not gonna watch any because I don't know. All I've heard is people who have seen the trailer said it was a cool trailer.
It is a cool
and
trailer.
I'm not gonna look at anything from that movie.
So Moonshock, you're looking forward to?
Whatever.
I'd play that.
System Shock 2 was cool. I mean, the moon is even cooler. I mean, the moon is crazy. Like
BioShock to the moon.
I really think the moon is a really interesting location. Like, you can see Earth from there. It's not like you're just in some abstract other galaxy where it just could be anything. It's like, okay, we're out in space, but I mean, who gives a shit? You can just pretend it's Earth. Like, you know what I mean? The moon is specifically, you can see Earth. It's there. You know where you are, but it's so fucking far away that if anything goes wrong, you're screwed anyway, right? I mean, you
can still talk to people who are on Earth.
Well, the other thing is it's so iconic. I mean, it's like it's a planet we've been to.
It's right.
And there are actual
it's a big massive
planetoid.
Yeah.
But I mean,
it's a satellite.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we haven't really gone back.
Like there is that.
Like it's it's
still
basically
slogans
like,
for BioShock 5 being thrown out left and right.
I mean, it's essentially there's nothing that we've been there, but we didn't really.
But we haven't gone back.
It's still not. I don't know. I think the moon is a really interesting, cool location, and I like that it's not just made up. You know what I mean? I like that it's an actual real.
I don't know. It could be a soundstage.
I don't think we actually landed there, but it'd be cool if we did someday. No,
you know what else is cool?
I pretend I didn't say that because it's. I don't think Mars is as cool.
I don't know. I think it's pretty cool.
I don't think it's as cool.
Let's table BioShock 6 for now, and
yeah, right.
BioShock 6 Doom 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
All right.
Okay.
Oh man! By the way, did you guys see the BioShock movie? Is apparently so expensive that it might be on hold. Yeah,
160 million or whatever.
Yeah. God, that's so crazy to think about. Because I mean,
it is.
Imagine if a game. You wouldn't even get that far to even thinking of that budget. I mean, that's so crazy.
Well, for a BioShock movie, it's not like we're talking Gears of War here. I mean, BioShock sold well, but it does not have the level of penetration that...
Yeah, but I think a BioShock movie properly marketed could be a lot... Could
do better than a Gears of War movie.
Yeah, I agree. I think Gears of War, to a lot of people, would be a fairly generic
I think a BioShock movie
you're underestimating
would work...
the 300 audience, but all right.
No, okay, maybe. I think a Gears of War movie would look more generic.
marketed as the guy who brought you the Pirates of the Caribbean too. I
like
mean,
a BioShock movie would probably be successful for the same reason that it seems like people have said that the BioShock advertisements were successful, which is just, wow, this looks interesting and different.
Yeah, maybe.
But also, there's a crazy splicer.
I don't know. I think from I don't know. I think from the movie executive standpoint, they're probably looking at that and going, all right.
Well, it's definitely
160 million for this.
It's a high budget. No, it's true. But I mean, to be fair, Gore Verbinski did direct a Pirates of the Caribbean movie that made like $1 billion goddamn dollars.
Yeah.
And that's,
and the Weatherman.
They do get leeway after that.
Yeah, right. Weird.
Yeah, right. What the fuck?
But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
And The Ring.
Not that I'm like excited about a BioShock movie, man. I don't really. I mean, again, it's not.
Finally, the true story will be told on
like,
film the way it was meant to be told.
That's not actually what I want. I'm just saying. I don't know. I think it could be something that could be successful. Is all I'm saying. If it's actually not terrible, which is a lot to ask for some reason.
Yeah. So anyway, video games.
So yeah. And Mafia 2, I didn't see this because I didn't make it out to that event, but Nick, you did.
Did you check it out?
Yeah, I checked it out.
Cool. I saw the videos of that game on the internet.
So you saw as much as I did.
Oh, really? Yeah, because I saw that first video that was just of the dude walking around town.
Yeah.
And my face was pretty much crushed 1,000 times by that video, just because it was the first time that I'd seen.
I don't think I've seen this stuff.
The characters in a city behaving in ways that are real.
I mean, like newspaper people and
like
people selling newspapers.
Guys having conversation, and they'll go sit down on a bench and keep talking. I mean, it was
the great thing about
it was mocap city.
Yeah,
but it was really cool to see a city that actually felt that alive. Like it made GTA 4 suddenly actually look super computer populated.
What I love about their approach to open world is that it's used as like the backdrop. As opposed to this crazy world that you can do stuff in that world, but the focus is more
on... It's not as much a sandbox.
It's not as for ambience.
Yeah, I mean...
Ambiance.
Yeah, it's they take a much more, crafted approach to open world gameplay, which I think is just...
that's true.
A little more closed approach to open world.
Yeah, I mean, they do.
Yeah, and it's great. I mean, and just, following through on that, approach is just their focus on like interiors. Like if you look at did you watch the rest of that video? Because they in the mission he goes inside a building and it's just like, holy shit, it looks like a room from the 50s. Like there's a bar and there's like this weird like blue gold carpet, and it's just like
the actual
just screams 50s.
The design and the period stuff in that movie in that game.
Yeah.
It made me really happy. I mean, I'm curious to see what happens when you're expected to actually have any agency on it.
Yeah,
like when you're supposed to. What happens?
You get a traffic ticket.
Yeah, you do.
But I mean, like, okay, the dudes who are walking around and then talking and sit down on the bench next to the newsie.
What if you try to go
and then
punch
just
them and
shoot them, and then they just all like turn rigid for like a second.
Yeah, do they suddenly
pause, and then they run?
Right, the guys sitting down at the bench, they suddenly like blend up into a stand-up,
that's always
into a stand-up idle
like,
animation. Go, hey, what are you doing? And then sort of all of their joints bend back down into sitting, or is it going to account for that? Because the sort of the city, like the sort of ambient goings on of the city, set the bar amazingly high for the world that you're in that game. At least in that video that they showed, like, God, it was really cool. Yeah. As like someone who, as mentioned earlier, possibly not on the podcast, really likes that aspect of the GTA games, of just sort of the feeling of place and being able to just go nuts and explore this whole city that the world has built for me to walk around in. Man, that video is just like, yo, you will be fed by this for the next life.
Jake says things like that sometimes.
I can't wait to dine on Mafia 2's ambient city animations.
I have to say, why? I mean, I'm probably exaggerating this, but why does it seem like these games, like when you look at the GTA series, you look at this, and Mafia 1 already exists and has its own legacy. Like, why are these games not actually made by Americans? Like Americans make a lot of really good games, like a lot of amazing games made in the United States, but not very many games about America are made in the United States.
Yeah,
like we prefer Mars or like
but I mean, it seems like we do. Like, it's odd. It's an odd thing. I mean, like the Rockstar North guys and the Illusion or 2K Check Now, I guess, guys. Yeah. Like they seem frequently like much better observers. Mm-hmm. Or even
think about how well we've observed like a burned out German town or like a bombed Japanese naval fleet. Think about how good we are at that.
I guess that's true. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Good. And
Yeah.
space.
That's a good
And
answer.
space.
Yeah.
And, a fantastical version of probably England filled with orcs. We're good at that.
What? Like Warcraft?
Yeah, or just, like a monster.
Right.
A monster.
Some kind of upside down, like spider skull.
We have like monster consultants.
I
Yeah.
think we've observed those pretty well.
I think we're also pretty good at, like, dudes dressed in leather with, like, 18 more belts than they're supposed to be wearing.
I think that's Japan.
I don't know, not if there's, like, a spike on a car.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, what is this one?
Hey,
Never mind. I guess
like
that is more
that-
Europe or like Japan that does weird
Well,
post-apocalyptic.
Japan loves
or
the
like,
belts and buckles.
I guess Japan loves those. Yeah. I guess it
Are you
is.
talking about like Mad Max?
Yeah, just like weird, like
Australia.
beat up, crazy shit. But we don't actually make that many of those. Those
Yeah, we
end up
don't
coming
really,
from Europe
actually.
more
Yeah,
often.
yeah.
Weird.
And there's like Full Throttle. But
That doesn't count.
That doesn't sound
Nah,
as extreme as what you're saying. And actually, Full Throttle is, I mean, it's fictional, but it is one of, I think, the better observations of America in a video game.
Yeah.
I really like that aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel like there's a lot of fertile ground there, and it's weird that it doesn't seem to be done very much by people living in this country.
Also, history. I like the fact that Mafia is, that the original Mafia was set in the 20s,
Right.
and I like that, this is not, set that they didn't do like the.
Yeah, it's too bad
The
that our version
Sopranos
of this
version of
is
Mafia, and they
it's,
stayed in the
I
it's
agree,
too
I
bad that
agree.
our version of this is EA's The
Is the
Godfather 2.
Right? Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
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 Eh.
Mhm.
Oh,
I mean,
well.
America's
Yeah.
falling behind the America race, apparently.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, the America gap.
Yeah.
So yeah, all we can say about Mafia 2 is that the world looks really awesome and it looks cool.
Yeah, I remember the
Yeah.
early trailers for that game blew my goddamn mind. I mean, there was CG.
Well, yeah,
No,
I mean,
I guess they weren't. I guess they said they were
No, it's all
It was
in-engine.
in-engine, but it was
Yeah,
100%
scripted cutscene stuff.
straight up,
Yeah.
mocap
Yeah.
camera and character movement, like Resident Evil
Right.
style.
Yeah. Yeah, they go out with the story. I mean, it's going to take place over 10 years, which is another thing that I like.
Oh, that's cool.
I mean, they're not afraid to sort of. I mean, they're talking about how between one mission it might skip forward 5 years or something crazy. So
Cool.
it's cool. Yeah,
That could be good. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that game. That's definitely one of the ones that I've been anticipating for a while. So
yeah.
so that's cool. So good. Mafia 2. What else did we see? We saw the Bethesda things. That was a weird event.
It was.
Was that why you were in London
Yes.
and why you were in Bangladesh or whatever?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's weird.
Nick-
They had like a Bangladesh version of this event. Yeah.
Oh, they actually had it there. I thought they did like a simulcast.
Oh yeah. Well, that was the weird part. I got there and it was just like a
It's a big
This is
screen
a big
TV and a
screen
demo
TV.
station. Yeah.
And then some guy was
Yeah.
like translating into Bangladeshi or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I don't know the languages, but yeah.
Yeah.
So they showed Rogue Warrior and Wet.
Yeah.
Another.
Weird that they
It's a
picked-
classic comedy
Yeah, it
duo.
was a-
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
Weird games.
Weird games.
It's
Very
weird they
weird.
flew to London for Rogue Warrior and Wet.
Well,
Yeah,
there
I
was
know.
some Fallout stuff, but yeah,
Yeah, right. Yeah.
that was the carrot. That was
What, the Fallout?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Well, not really, actually. I mean, there wasn't really any. There was no. I mean, there's no indication about what it was going to be beforehand.
true.
But yeah, Rogue Warrior was weird.
It was.
That was the game that they announced years ago. If anyone remembers that.
Yeah. And
Like, I
since
mean, I
they've-
remember.
they've since
Were you at
scrapped
their
it.
office for the Fallout 3 unveil? They had a cardboard cutout of that game, like all the way back then,
Yeah.
and that was a
It was
while
announced
ago.
in 2006,
Yeah, exactly.
and it was going to be a squad-based tactical thing,
Yeah,
like
developed by
Ghost
Zombie.
Recon or whatever. Yeah, developed by Zombie Studios.
Now it's not.
Now it's been scrapped and handed to Rebellion.
Now it looks like a first/third person.
It is.
Man, it's
kinda
the new
game.
StarCraft Ghost.
Yeah, I guess it kind of is like that.
yeah,
Except without the StarCraft
Well, I mean, not
license or the
yeah,
Ghost.
right? Obviously, no. But I
Yeah.
mean, in terms of the publishing situation, kind of, yeah,
Yeah.
where it's sort of like it's
We've got this name for a franchise, and we've got a couple ideas for some themes or some characters.
Well, and it's published by a company that's usually known as a developer.
oh, right.
Yeah.
But they'll just kick it around a couple times and change the game entirely, and then release it and or shelve it.
yeah.
They'll probably release it at this point. It's hard. I mean,
They
Bethesda
got
has a
Mickey
lot of
Rourke
money,
to
but I
do
don't think they
shit,
have
so,
infinite Blizzard money.
Yeah, because Ghost was at multiple E3s in multiple different forms,
Yeah.
playable for the press.
And I played it at BlizzCon. Yeah, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. But yeah, Rogue Trooper. Anyway, I don't know why we're talking about Ghost.
Yeah, it's
Sorry.
really
We
very
love that.
strange manner. of
We love Ghost.
Yeah, it was funny actually. I didn't know. I actually did not know of the guy on whom Rogue Warrior is based. Like when
I
Pete
didn't either.
Hines started
Yeah.
talking about it, I seriously thought he was like a comic book character or something.
I know.
It's like, this is based on Dick
Marchenko.
Marchenko, and he
Yeah.
this really crazy Navy
Yeah, right.
SEAL
Like as
guy
if he
who
was
like
just somebody they made
blew
up.
up
Yeah,
all
like-
kinds of bases, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, whatever. So this is your character. Like this is the guy.
Yeah.
You know, your game's it's the guy you made up for your game, or like the guy. I actually assumed it was a comic book.
Did he then just walk
character.
into the room or something?
No, but then he
That
started
would've
talking
been
about
nice.
how he wrote a book and like how the United States government like hired him
It's
to
just like a Matt Hazard
test
thing.
the security of their bases.
Well, what's
But then
great
I
about this guy is he wrote his book, which was nonfiction or supposedly based on
Right.
his experience, and then he wrote after that a series of sequels that were
Fictional
like
sequels.
almost completely
Yeah.
fictional,
Right.
which I think is a nice,
a little weird, but whatever.
yeah,
I don't know. Fair enough. The guy sounds pretty ridiculously hardcore, though.
he does.
Like I read
Have you seen a
some
picture
stuff
of him?
about him online. I don't
he
think
looks
so.
pretty hardcore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's covered in belts.
covered in like fur.
What? Like hair, or he
yeah,
wears
yeah,
pelts?
like he's just looks like Charles Manson but with a gun.
Jesus. All right.
Imagine
Anyway.
playing as this guy. Awesome.
Yeah. Well, yeah. This game is, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't really know what to say about it.
It just reminded me of Duke Nukem so much.
It did. It did sort of remind me of Duke.
I
Nukem.
kept bringing that up.
I mean, it was less ridiculous.
Pete Hines was like, "Yeah,
It was-
fair enough." Like,
It was less ridiculous than Duke Nukem. I mean, it wasn't overtly.
I don't know. I think they were. I found it pretty ridiculous. I don't think it was supposed to be. I mean, that clearly the intention was not, because every time I mentioned how ridiculous it was to the developers, they were
hold on.
like, "Oh, it's not supposed to be ridiculous."
I'll be back.
Okay. You know what's weird? Every time Chris stands up and leaves, I always feel like Garth, like on a couch, like after Wayne, like.
Wow.
Anyway.
Wayne's World.
Yeah, classic reference.
Nice. I guess you feel like Garth.
Yeah. Anyway.
So I mean, sorry, I actually know jack shit about this game. What
all right,
style of game is it in general?
it's a pretty straight up action shooter now. It's just like a one man deal.
Is it a third or a first?
It's first until you hit cover, and then it's third.
Uh-huh.
And when you get shot, Dick swears a lot, and he's voiced by Mickey Rourke. And
Yeah.
that's,
So on that note, I transcribed.
oh yeah, you've got the
a
quotes.
section of dialogue
Fuck
from
me.
Rogue Warrior. Hold on, I'm finding it.
You have to say it in the same nonchalant tone.
All
though.
right.
That's kind of the key. It's
Yeah.
not really emphatic, and it's not. It's
Oh
a very
crap! I
specific.
don't have it on here. It's on my
Oh.
computer.
Well, man,
Yeah. Well, basically,
April Fool,
I mean,
motherfucker.
right? Yeah, that was one of his lines. He kills a dude and just goes, "April Fool, motherfucker!" But he's also like he's as he's killing guys, he's just
it's less
like,
intense than that, though. He's
Yeah.
just sort of like
"All right,
April Fool, motherfucker."
Yeah.
Like he's just kind of
fuck,
yeah.
ah
Fuck
shit,
me.
oh shit, oh fuck, fuck, oh shit, oh son of a bitch, fuck, oh shit." Like it's really hilarious. I don't
Yeah.
really know what, like. I wonder if they're gonna adjust whatever variable,
I think they
like,
probably need
like
to.
random roll
Yeah.
causes him to like say things or how frequently he says it. But it was really funny. Sometimes it actually was genuinely funny.
Mhm.
I thought, like when he tripped an alarm and a guy ran
Oh,
out
yeah.
and he's just like, "Oh shit."
I
like,
actually
it
didn't
was-
mind the fact that it was. Over
I didn't
the
really
top.
mind either.
I don't, in fact, I don't know why they're so afraid not to, like it's weird. I was talking to the guy after, God, I can't remember his name. The Rebellion, Rebellion developer. But when we were at the Army of Two thing, the thing that they kept bringing up was that they have that like Steven Seagal test where if a line of dialogue sounds like Steven Seagal would say it doesn't pass the test. But if it sounds like John McClane, then they'll include it.
Oh right.
And during my interview with the Rogue Warrior guy, I was like, it almost sounds like a Steven Seagal type of game. And he was like, no, not Steven Seagal. We prefer John McClane. I was like, Jesus, all right.
Well, I'm not saying what you prefer. I'm saying what I think it's like. What do you know? Like
Yeah.
what?
But yeah, so it's not Steven Seagal, but
Yeah.
it is.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, probably it's true. John McClane would probably say, "Oh shit," or "fuck."
Yeah.
Yeah, but
True.
he says it in that amazing worried style that makes people actually like Bruce
Right.
Willis in Die Hard 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
He says it in a way that implies that he's actually stepping on glass with no shoes and not that he actually just ripped off the heads of 18 guys.
I didn't
But-
really mind that though in this game. Like it was sort of funny to me.
That's
Mhm.
cool.
But yeah, I don't know. It's
Yeah,
a
it's-
weird
it's a
game. I don't really
game.
know what to
It's-
make of it, honestly.
You
And then
shoot
Wet,
stuff.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah.
It's
Wet.
frustrating because I think the gameplay, like I think what they're trying to do with the gameplay, I think is an admirable goal.
Yeah.
They tried-
To me, it's kind of like taking Max Payne and sort of blending it with like Tony Hawk or something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Basically,
like stringing, you're diving and stuff in slow mo, just like Max Payne, but the objective is to sort of string those dives together and do crazy acrobatic
and
moves,
flip around and jump off things.
And sort of create combos.
I mean, that stuff all seems cool. I can't stand the presentation though.
Oh yeah.
I just don't. It's this part of this like just thing that's really infuriating to me. How like the way they describe it is that it's like, it's totally like a 70s action movie. It's totally like a 70s grindhouse exploitation action movie.
Well, then the way they also describe it is it's like Kill Bill, which is
right.
a recreation of that. So
right.
It's kind
but what they really, exactly. What they really mean is like
from that,
we saw the Quentin Tarantino thing inspired by the things we claim to be inspired by. That's basically what they mean. And that's basically actually what every video game is.
It is.
And I'm just really sick of it. It's like, this is a sci-fi game. Means, we watched Aliens. This is like a 70s exploitation. We watched Kill Bill or Grindhouse. Like, I'm getting really tired of game developers watching the same half dozen
real
movies.
Grindhouse movies are so boring to watch.
They kind of are.
Right. But you gotta watch that stuff when you're doing research because then you find all the stuff that you can bring up and modernize that Tarantino didn't already like pick clean.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was when they started showing the little intermission thing.
Oh
that was just like Jesus Christ! Like
it's like popcorn ads from the 70s.
That is sort of accurate to like what you probably would see in that theater. But like also, you pretty much just watched Quentin Tarantino's take on this and just wrote it all down, or didn't even need to because you've seen it so many times. Like I'm really sick of game developers making all their games based on the same filmic influences and doing it all secondhand. I'm really getting tired of it. Like especially to hear them talk about it all the time, because it's always the same movies. It's always Aliens and any Quentin Tarantino movie, particularly Grindhouse or Kill Bill. It's always. I mean, there's other examples, and I'm just drawing a blank because I don't. Right, I've thought about it. It's just that it's all the same shit. Like it's all the same ones, and I'm just. It's starting to get so frustrating to me because I feel like that is really.
Well, for a while, it was Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, exactly. Saving Private Ryan.
God,
exactly. It's a perfect one, and it I don't know. I feel like that's really does not reflect very well on video games as a medium, that they're that derivative all the time. It's just like there have to be other experiences someone wants to represent that isn't just like you're in a spaceship fighting guys, you're crazy super ultra violent Tarantino thing, like you're in a slow motion action movie or like war movie. I don't know. Like I hope there are other things because that's most of the games, even the good ones.
No.
And I don't know.
Anyway, maybe we should take a break for a minute.
Yeah, probably. On that up-tempo note.
Yeah.
Hey! Oh man, games.
Video game.
Podcast.
Video game. All right, we're totally fucking back.
Yeah, man.
Quick.
Amazing.
Well, not that you know that was quick, but trust us.
It probably sounded like video games to you, so.
Yeah. So, Jake, I heard you got a DSi. I heard it from you.
Oh, man, I got a Nintendo dual screen eye. Yeah, you heard it from me, son.
Okay. So
how was it?
Well, I haven't, I had the giant, chunk DS or whatever it's called. The old
chunk DS.
The classic huge,
good old chunk.
The Tyco Toys brick DS that I bought, right off the bat. And I never got a DS Lite. So for me, this is a fairly huge change, although... it's a change.
Chunk
it's like
of change.
It's a change in a weird direction though, because I haven't played my DS for probably like a year at least. I think the last things I played on it were New Super Mario Brothers, Phantom Hourglass, and the third Phoenix Wright. But I mean, those all came out. It's all early 2008. It seems like at least, if not 2007. So in between then and now, what I've been using all the time is my iPhone. So when I got back to opening up a DS screen, I was like, oh my god, these pixels are fucking huge. It was so surprising how low res a DS actually is after using an iPhone forever. So that was the first shock. But I don't know. I was worried of the DSi for a little while because it's a DS Lite with bonus bullshit that seems like maybe someone in Japan might think is cool, but it's not really.
Or someone in the marketing department might think is cool.
Or someone in the marketing department might think it's cool, but they finally did what I wanted the original DS to do, which was to have an operating system that can upgrade itself, so that a DS that acknowledges the internet is nice. Like,
right. No, I agree,
new features can be deployed. You can load games onto the system, and I mean that stuff is all obvious. But it was just a relief to be like, finally, this is what I wanted the DS to be when I first bought it.
Right.
When when you first started out, I was like, wow, that was the first Nintendo system that I had loaded, the original DS, that had a start screen that like promised all these features, and then I right off the bat with the original DS was like, and this is all it's gonna be forever.
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, look at all the potential here. Wait,
there's
there's no potential here actually. But with this one, it's you open it up and the first thing you see is a list of buttons of the different apps, and then a scroll bar that can just scroll for like a mile away, empty slots, and it was like, oh man, thank God, this is epic. And you can right off the bat load stuff onto an SD card. So the first thing I did was go to the DS shop, and Nintendo actually with DSIs gave you 1,000 DS points, which is cool. So you can actually, nice. They should have done that with the Wii. But so I bought some games, bought a Dr. Mario,
Sweet.
I don't have a whole lot to say other than the DS.
Does it have onboard memory, or do you need a DS?
It has onboard memory. I don't know how much is there.
Yeah.
It seems.
I don't think it's much.
It's not a whole lot, but DS games are also not that big.
Yeah.
But then you can play stuff off an SD card. So I don't know. It has a camera, which is ridiculous, and an audio recorder, which is ridiculous.
Making remixes with the recorder?
I recorded my voice and pressed the button with a picture of a trumpet, which turns whatever you say into just pure tones, which amused me because I went da-da-da-da-da, and then it went and that made me laugh. So congrats to Nintendo for making me look like lame lifestyle footage, going laughing at a little trumpet version of my voice. But it all feels a lot more cohesive, a lot more solid of a system than I was expecting. I was literally expecting it to just be the DS with extra bullshit. But the refresh on the software side made it feel like it was actually worth getting for me.
Cool.
And
That's cool.
Haven't tried to play any GBA games on it yet, and then been surprised when there's just a big solid slab of plastic where that slot was. But I haven't played a GBA game in a long time. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, now you can't use your Rumble Pack. Owned.
Yeah.
Or play Guitar Hero.
Oh yeah, the Guitar Hero DS game depends on that.
Yeah, with the brass knuckles or whatever the fuck.
Man, wow, those people.
Yeah, I don't think Activision was very happy about it.
Yeah, I'm sure that sucks. It doesn't really suck.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah.
Now
you can't get your Guitar Hero for the DS.
Yeah, you can't look like that retarded commercial with the two kids running around going squiddly pow, like while holding just mashing sort of a glove. Oh man, you should look up the commercials for the DS Guitar Hero.
We'll come up with some way to get around that. We'll make
it's like an SD card
with like this long
it just
extension.
Snaps off immediately.
Yeah.
Oh jeez, this cost $115.
That's how they get you.
Yep. Yeah. DSi.
Is there a secret port on the Nintendo? Loves doing that. Is there like
was Iwata twisting his mustache?
Yeah.
Well, no, I don't know. I didn't notice one. They changed the charger yet again.
Oh my god!
What? But this time it looks like an actual one of the standard USB sizes, which was surprising. Maybe I'm wrong, but it looked like one. It's probably just got the two pins reversed.
Well, the DS one looks like one, but it's actually slightly different.
Well, the DS one is that weird square one from the GBA.
The DS Lite, I mean.
But, yeah,
I don't know. I didn't have one of those. Maybe it's it could be the same charger from the Lite.
I bet it's the same one.
Okay, I don't know.
It's not standard.
I didn't own that system.
Yeah, well, yeah, the DSi, I don't know. It hasn't not that exciting to me.
Well,
really,
if you already own a Lite, it's a lot less worth it.
But what you say about the screen, although I don't know if I'm going to be using that system.
Yeah, I mean it's worth, I guess, keeping an eye on, because now that there is downloadable content,
right.
Like if a DS Virtual Console were to exist, that would make my pants be pooped.
Yeah,
basically. Well, I mean,
poop would immediately be deposited.
I don't know if Nintendo would do it, because they seem to really love. That was a GBA thing where Nintendo just got off on re-releasing their NES and SNES things for $20.
Right. Yeah.
But those don't work on the DSi.
Right.
So maybe they're gonna start selling them for WiiWare prices. If I could buy Mario 3 to just be resident in memory on my DS for $5, it would be bought. All the Mega Man games, they would be bought.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see. The store doesn't even have a Virtual Console button right now. It just has DSiWare.
Right.
But
I would almost be surprised if they didn't do that at some point.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing is the DSiWare thing. At least in Japan, so far, Nintendo's been putting out games that are called like art style. Uh-huh. It's like a line of games that just have really nice polish and are generally sort of just weird puzzle games. I downloaded the one that's available in the US store, and I forgot its name. But
who are they made by?
I think it's internal studios and also not, but I don't know. It's a variety of different people.
Yeah.
But that looked interesting. It looked like the sort of stuff that I would like to see on WiiWare of like, here's a unique, simple concept done with good art direction. Yeah. And it looks like they're going to be bringing those over to the US.
Kind of like the Bit Generation stuff.
I don't know Bit Generations.
On GBA?
I totally didn't play any of those because I'm dumb.
Oh, they were cool. Or some of them were cool.
It's probably...
But it sounds similar to what you're...
It's probably a similar thing.
Yeah. Well, cool.
Anyway.
DSi.
Hey, there's a DSi on Nintendo.
How much is that thing?
Ooh, the same cost as a DS plus a little bit of extra money.
Yeah, okay, well.
I think its price starts with a 1.
Good.
And it's 3 digits. I don't know where it lands in there.
Thanks, Jake. All right, so, yeah. DSi.
Cool. All the facts.
Verdict. I need a number.
I.
All right.
It transcends numbers.
Cool.
It's like a Roman numeral.
Yeah, 1.
Okay.
So let's see here. We have T. Carter, who he says,
sorry,
Jake and Nick are having some kind of conversation. I have no idea what's going on here.
It's cool.
It's cool. T writes, I just finished Gears of War 2 and felt somewhat cheated with the way they ended things. And then he describes the ending, which, I mean, I haven't beat the game, so I don't know what he's talking about. But he basically says it was possibly the lamest final boss fight he's seen in the game. Then the end credits roll. It basically says it was a total letdown. He says, what other games have you played where the majority of the experience was fun and rewarding, only to be let down at the end by a cop-out or unfinished ending? Another that comes to mind for him is Halo 2. Yeah. Apparently his name is actually T. Which is fascinating. Like the letter T.
Cool.
What are you guys doing?
Jake was trying to find that quote.
I was trying to find that quote.
It's not the specific one, but...
Anyway, so yeah, I would say that's most games for me. I think I mentioned this on a recent podcast, but I earlier this year I went on a...
You've been beating a lot of games.
Well, not anymore, but in the first couple months of the year I beat most of the games I played, and pretty much the result of that was that I hated most of them by the time I was done, because most of them either wear out their welcome by the end, or the endings are stupid and boring, or just not...
Yeah.
Or just mangled. I don't know. Most developers don't know how to end a game, or come up with a good story that is worth ending, usually.
Yep. I don't know. I've had a lame year of games. So
well, I haven't this year.
I'm just trying to think back.
Not this year.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Well, neither is Gears of War 2.
It's this makes me lame, but it's so infrequently that I finish a game that the games that I only finish because the game is worth playing for me all the way up through the end.
Yeah. That's traditionally how it is for me, but
I'm trying to think. Not in recent memory. I just because I'm too lame.
Yeah, I would say Assassin's Creed was a pretty big example of that for me.
Yeah, that was a big example for many people who played that game. It sounded like.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can't wait for Assassin's Creed 2. Assassin's Creeds is set in the Renaissance, apparently. I'm so frustrated that these games aren't just actually set where they're set, instead of being set in a box, like where you imagine it's set somewhere else. I don't know. Okay, so Tom Bryan, he writes a movie proposal for us. Shadow of the Colossus, Streets of L.A. Instead of fighting 16 Colossi, there's a... Colossi? I don't even know. It's Colossi.
Colossi. There's a blacklist of 16 of LA's best underground street racers, but Shadow's been out of the game for years. Will he risk it all in a pink slip race against Colossus and win back his girl? Or will he get so caught up in the fast lane that he himself becomes the monster? Shadow of the Colossus, Streets of LA, cinemas everywhere, 2010.
Sweet.
Tom Bryan, Manchester, England. That's pretty rad.
Yeah.
I support this film.
Need a poster for that.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe someone can make that.
Someone wants to make a poster for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, poster.
Do it. Let's see, what else do we have here? We have a hilarious email from Mike Felix, I'm sorry, who writes, "Hey guys, long-time listener, etc." He found it. He points out that our podcast is about Far Cry 2, IGN.com quotes, wizard sound bits, and funny bird noises. So anyway,
Probably
the
what
gist
Google
of his
would tell
email is that he basically had been equating our voices to people he's seen on TV and decided to actually find out what we really look like. And he was disappointed with what we actually look like because I think we just look like dudes. But,
I was the most disappointing, apparently.
yes. So
sorry, man. I don't know.
He found pictures of what his mental images of us look like, including hilariously pictures of me and Nick, or like fictional pictures that sort of actually do kind of represent.
Let me see this.
The basic
Like
kind of properties of us.
Approximate
Like
body shape,
Nick is
maybe.
The same picture?
no, well, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nick is taller than I am. Like I've got more hair, I guess. Like I'm
Scruffier generally.
Yeah,
he's
like
scruffier.
a little less shaven. I wear button down.
Am I the third person here? Am I Big Bird?
Jake is Big Bird.
All right, I guess that's actually the opposite of me, given that I'm a sort of tall, paunchy, bald guy. But
Big Bird is tall.
Yeah, but he's not the other
You're
things.
not paunchy.
A little bit.
Well, so is Big Bird.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Big Bird is me. Anyway, this email is going to be kept on a shelf forever. I never looked at again.
Well, I might put it on a forum or something.
Yeah, no,
That's
we should share what you and Nick and I look like.
Yeah.
And this guy's
I wonder who
weird.
these people are. These people that are.
I don't think the people are picturing us in their mind.
No, I mean, I'm just saying. I wonder where this picture came from.
Those
I
guys.
thought you was like wondering about their names.
I don't know, but I think it's the new Ultra Boost ad.
That's
Yeah.
Dirk Drecken, and
Dirk Drecken
Dirk Drecken.
yeah.
Yeah, the
and
chief.
his idle thumbs.
Yeah.
What?
An obscure record from.
I think it's on the Mafia II soundtrack.
Yeah.
All right, so Tommy Lawler writes, "Hey Thumbs, I've heard you guys talk at some length about playtesting and how it's usually in reference to Valve and how much they revere it, et cetera, et cetera." He says Bungie did a similar thing with Halo 3. Both of those companies have employed a PhD in experimental psychology, which is interesting. He says, "Well, it's valid to want to get as much information as possible about players and how they're reacting to a game. I wonder if there's such a thing as too much testing, a breaking point." And he points out Shigeru Miyamoto, who sort of just kidnaps employees at random to play his games, sort of different than the more systemic approach.
Well,
he
does
goes,
he do that in addition to traditional playtesting?
I don't really know personally.
The question is just generally, if you're stifled by too much data collection and too much focus testing, I think that the answer to that is definitely no, but a more detailed answer is probably it depends. I think just like anything else, it's like when people at a game company will put on their forums like, "Hey, what do you guys want to see in the next game?" And then there's always like 4 or 5 defenders who are like, don't read this, you guys. Right. You don't want to influence the designers to just do what they're. If you post anything on here, it's going to be in the game design. So you don't want to give them a bad idea.
Yeah.
I mean, the people who look at the playtest data are the people who read these forums, or the people who listen to a focus group, are still a human being. They're not a crazy robot where you feed the playtest form in and a design document comes out. So it's how you interpret that data, how much intelligence you take, when you actually look at it and what it means. And I think it's shown that Valve and Bungie are very good at that, and I'm sure other companies are bad at it, and they'll get playtest data and be like, "Oh, fuck, what we really need, we need a cover system, we need 6 more guns that have alt-fire modes. People said this, we're not, no one's going to care about this game." Right. And that, I think that ruins it. Or like you hear about, like Google has had a bunch of graphic designers just leaving lately they've been posting on their blogs saying they've left because they've had like day-long meetings where they can't make a case for a piece of art because they want to systemically check whether or not a border should be 4 pixels, 5 pixels, or 6 pixels, and they're going to run focus tests on this for the next 2 weeks before you can lay down a pixel of art in the new version of Gmail. Yeah. That's probably taking it too far. I mean, it's Google, so they can probably afford to take it that far, but
they can afford it financially, but
but it's.
Yeah,
they're like psychologically.
I think that is being so beholden to your data that you're leaving no room for being a thinking human being that's paid to be doing this job in the first place. Right. I know that like at Telltale, we do compared to like Valve, we don't do very much focus testing. We have probably 15 people come in and play each episode of our game once. Sometimes we'll do a second round, but the information that you get out of that is always super amazing.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not. But that said, we don't like a guy came in and played a MX episode and wrote, make it look more like Team Fortress 2. We were like, fuck, okay, let's load up those Valve PDFs about how they do the rendering engine. We gotta get rim lights and Phong shading into our game. Like, people don't, if you do that, you're a crazy person.
Right.
Or you're making Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my response is similar. I think that one of the things, what you say is totally true about people thinking that feedback equals like a robot making the game, which is not the case at all. Like it's part of it, and it's not just an issue of deciding whether this is to go in or not, but it's also just being like, is your design team or your actual just developers, are they talented enough to implement this stuff in a good way? I mean, just knowing that you need to change something is not equivalent to it being automatically changed. Like,
you don't snap your fingers and suddenly like player movement is changed, or like
there's still the creativity involved with actually figuring out how that feedback should be best interpreted, as well as like the technical challenge of implementing it and a million other things. I mean, I think there probably is definitely a danger, as you described with the Google example, of being too beholden to data. But
that stuff is often driven by fear.
Yeah.
If you don't believe in your product, and then someone from the outside says, "Oh, well, obviously the reason that this is dumb is because of this," you're going to go home like, "You're right. That's what it is," instead of just having the confidence to interpret or make, forge your own path.
And there's also sort of a difference between pure usability stuff and more vague kind of design, like design in the sense of like gameplay design.
And the balance of that is going to be different depending on the project as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if we're talking about like a straight multiplayer shooter, then there are probably some
that's like very balance heavy.
Yeah, that's something that you can probably look at a lot of data and go like, all right, this map is not, but
exactly, yeah.
If you're talking about
when you're talking about a single player, heavily scripted experience where the trying to essentially make different content all the time.
A lot of times, what it comes down to with that, at least at Telltale, where we do only single player, very linear adventure gaming type stuff, is reading between the lines to sort of see not what people say, not what people are asking for, but what they actually want or what they actually need. If you can look and see a common denominator in all the requests of like, okay, well, what they're actually saying is that this one element is underperforming, and this person saw it because they thought that the graphics in this part didn't look good, or this person thought that whatever. I can't come up with a goddamn example of what I'm trying to say, but you kind of know what I mean.
Yeah.
Where if people are asking, wow, Jesus, Anyway, I think this is answered.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
barf.
Right. Eric Leslie writes in to probably justifiably berate us for our mod scene discussion. First of all, he points out how we contradict ourselves in terms of our discussion about mods. He starts off, he says, the initial statement, it's much easier to make stuff in modern editors than old ones, and studios benefit from having people who want to make stuff from their games, to which he says, hooray, modding is more accessible now than it used to be. 20 seconds later, the people who play mods killed the mod community by expecting too much from the total conversions like Counter-Strike, to which he adds, oh, I guess modding is dead now, killed by its own community. 2 minutes later, people who criticize simple mods have no idea how it is to make something, but people who have played a lot of mods have more of an understanding of how much work and time is required to make a mod, to which he says, he interprets as, the masses are stupid, only the mod community that 2 minutes ago I said brought about its own demise can truly understand mods. And then he points out this is all contradictory. My response would be, there are three of us and we don't all share the same opinion on things.
I would also say that I don't think all of these are mutually exclusive, and I don't think that only one thing killed mod community. I was thinking about this after getting this email, and although I don't know if I'm going to be able to directly address any of this guy's points, I guess I could kind of clarify what I was trying to talk about with just like in terms of multiplayer gaming, which is where mods mostly came from, or where mods mostly live, multiplayer first person gaming, at least from the get go. The biggest avenue for online gaming for a long time was basically Quake World.
Yeah.
And so if you wanted to play a different kind of multiplayer experience on your PC, you would install a mod into Quake 1 and Quake World. At this point, it's if you want to play a different multiplayer experience, you load up Steam and you pick a different commercial game. There's so many more options at this point that I think that was what I was kind of trying to get at that point, but I ended up sort of warbling on and on about how no one respects a simple gameplay mod anymore. But it's just what the audience is looking for in the PC multiplayer space. The sort of stuff that was being served only by mods is being served by commercial games at this point. I mean, the scale is way more grandiose, but at the same time, it's kind of not, because
I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, you could play Headhunters or TF2 or Capture the Flag or regular Quake. Now you can play Left 4 Dead, Counter-Strike, TF2.
Yeah, well, I mean, remember at one point when Capture the Flag was a mod?
Yeah.
Like when the first person made a Capture the Flag mod. Yeah. Like that now Capture the Flag is a mode in every single multiplayer game.
The guys who made that are a company.
Three-Wave,
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I really spoke up much during that discussion because personally, I don't really feel like I have a handle on the mod scene. It's so weird and amorphous now.
Well, I don't have a handle on the mod scene anymore, and
it's just, I don't know. It's just like, because of what you said, though. I mean, now it's not just Quake. Like the audience, there are so many goddamn games that you can mod that I just every now and then I'll be playing a game and I'll be like, I wonder if there are any mods for this game, and I'll be like completely shocked at finding like these little communities of people who still do make mods for these random obscure games that I just did not expect. But I mean, it's actually hard to take. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, unless it's something that is notably new, like natural selection, it often is teams doing a very similar version of the same stuff that people were doing with Quake. For me, I mean, at least whenever I look at ModDB and look at the top stuff, it's often Fortress Forever, or it's Black Mesa, or it's But just what I was going to say about how I also admittedly am not in the mod community at all anymore, but that's because all the PC gaming communities that I followed, starting with like Reading Blues and Shaq around Quake 1, Quake 2, all those guys used to basically play Quake and then Quake and Unreal and all the mods, and now all those people play the entire Steam catalog. So, I mean, just there is a mod community, but it's definitely not the same people who used to be doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and then I'll just add, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to find and read them all, but I think over the last couple of weeks we have gotten a bunch of emails from people who are like, what are you talking about? There's tons of mod stuff going on. And
there is admittedly a ton of mod stuff.
There is a lot of mod stuff going on.
I mean,
it's not as focused as it used
right.
to be.
I don't know if that's true. I think if you go to ModDB, you will find that it's extraordinarily focused. I mean, that's basically the equivalent of TigSource to the independent game community, what it is to the mod community. I mean, there's a huge database. There's a very active community.
Oh, no. I don't mean... Well, I guess what
you
I'm
mean
saying,
since it's not just Quake?
Specific platforms. Yeah. I mean, I think it's...
Right. It's not as
it's not just
centralized.
Like the people working on just Half-Life 1 and just id engines.
Of what a mod is now, I mean, like... I don't know. I think that's changed. I mean, I think they're...
Well, I mean, the fact that just because old engines have open sourced themselves, so you can develop a fully formed game that still is kind of a mod.
Right. Like Gravity Bone, is that a mod? I don't know.
I don't think so. I mean, is it? Is any commercial game developed in the Unreal Engine a mod?
Well, yeah. I don't know. It's weird. Also, things like Little Big Planet levels. I mean, people put so much time and effort into that. It's not. It's a user-created level, but is it not also a mod in a way? I mean, you're not modding the game, I guess.
No,
from
it's
a code
not.
Base.
It's a level.
So
that's.
Well, I don't know.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think there is a difference between level creation and modding. You don't need. You can make a level. For
I mean,
a game
generally, at least traditionally, the division was if you're making a level, you load up the game in with the basic
editor.
I mean, to play a level, you would just load up the regular old game and type in whatever slash level and the name of the map file.
Right.
To load up a mod, you would almost always from the DOS prompt or from a modified shortcut, you would actually tell the engine before you load any resources. Load up these scripts and this data set that's going to be loaded on top. I mean, that's the traditional distinction, at least, I think.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair.
And then whether or not it's a mod or a total conversion,
well, I guess,
whatever.
Yeah. But I mean, I think effort is being put into into level creation in games like that maybe traditionally would have been.
Maybe so, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
yeah, we might have given the mod community short shrift, and if so. Sorry about that. I mean, there is a lot of really cool stuff.
Yeah, I don't think any of us ever meant to say there isn't stuff being done in the mod community, but it doesn't. Probably just because the stuff that the mod community did in the mid '90s ended up actually working, and level of variety, and a lot of the companies that started off either making mods or making expansion packs in those games ended up being real, or like Team Fortress ended up getting bought, and CS.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff that people used to go to the mod space for is now found in the commercial multiplayer PC space.
Yeah, there's no equivalent of like capture the flag being created today. You know what I mean? Like
nothing that ubiquitous anyway.
nothing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean,
Anything
it
on
does
that
feel like the
level.
last one that truly became ubiquitous was CS.
Or
Yes.
Dota.
Yeah.
Or yeah, maybe so.
You know what? That's probably a good example. Yeah.
Yeah, burn me.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's move. We're gonna wrap this up because we're probably long.
It's an ultra cast.
We got a bunch of emails this week, at least a few, saying "What is game?" Is this some kind of fucking meme or something? What is this?
Sounds like it.
I don't know. We got a bunch of those. Anyway, I don't know.
We've probably just made a bunch of people titter, and there's a stupid 4chan bullshit thread that with a grinning smiley face or something now.
All right. Anyway, we'll I don't know. Do this next week, I guess.
Yeah, if you have a question, feel free to write it into questions@idlethumbs.net.
Yep.
Oh, one thing I wanted to point out really quick
What?
was that I thought it was really amusing that Chuck Jordan, a previous guest of the show, pointed out that the guy who's doing the promo spots for Heroes on NBC right now sounds like your and Steve's bad Solid Snake voice.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you check out the latest promos for Heroes, you might hear Chris Ramo impersonating Solid Snake. Not
Sweet.
actually, but
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that post by Chuck on Twitter, but I was at work at the time and I forgot my headphones, and I didn't want to risk playing whatever it was like aloud on my work computer, so I didn't.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what it is. I guess it's a dude who sounds like me or Steve.
It's mostly you.
Mostly me. Okay. Well, cool.
Get ready for that, everyone.
I'm ready.
I thought there was something else, but that's it.
Okay, cool. Bye.
Bird noises. I'm Big Bird. Bronze string. Bronze string, bronze string. Goes wild. What? What did you say?
He goes wild.
Oh.
Like the crowd goes wild.
Video game.
Merrick, this is for
Never
you.
played Techno Bowl.